Yo, what up everyone, and welcome to another live tasting featuring four Hoppy beers from our friends at Three Weavers Brewing in Inglewood, California. My name is Gary. It's been a while since I've been back on the live, doing a live tasting, so if you're tuning in live, glad to have you with us, and I am excited to dig into some of these beers. Three Weavers is a brewery that is very, very close to my heart. Was a frequent visitor to their tap room when I lived over on the west side back in 2014, 2015 as they were getting up and going. So I have a lot of friends over there, and I just think they're making killer beer. Over the years, Three Weavers has gone through a lot of changes, as a lot of different breweries have, and in terms of staffing, in terms of ownership, there's been a lot of kind of movement on that front on the Three Weaver side of things, and as of most recently, they bought back the brewery from Canarchy, and they're now kind of self-owned again. What that means for the quality of the beer, the direction of the beer program, I do not know, but it's been a little bit since I've hit a Three Weavers beer, so I'm excited to try these. So I have a few limited recent releases that they recently put out, and then I got one mainstay, one of their flagship beers that I personally have loved since the very beginning. So if you are tuning in live and you're going to be drinking some beers along with me, drop a comment. Let me know, what are you sipping on today? It's Sunday, it's 3:45 in the afternoon. It's beer time, right? If you're not drinking a beer, you probably should be. So drop a comment, let me know, what are you sipping on, or what are you about to crack open if you don't have one right now. LA Beer Cats, what up? Kill the lights. Yeah, I was tempted to bring that beer into this tasting, but I love that beer. I got a couple cans in the fridge, and so good. Sipping on Perpetual Energy Hazy Pale from Radiant. The Hazy Pale game from Radiant is everything. Jealous. Wish I had it. S550, drinking some Wicks. Urail Brewing, I haven't heard of them actually. Cool, so I'm going to start with this tasting, going with the lightest beer of the batch, and one that I'm actually most intrigued by. So I'm going to kick things off here with a beer called Aldorado. If this name sounds kind of familiar, Three Weavers released a beer of the same name last year, but it looked different. The recipe was different. It was a completely different beer, but with some similar kind of storylines threaded throughout. So Aldorado is a collaboration beer with CLS Farms, who's the developer of the Eldorado hop. So this is a 100% Eldorado hopped, and the last year's version was an IPA. Fantastic beer, really cool label too. 16-ounce can, just really cool beer. This one, on the other hand, they switched things up. They got the big 19.2, so yes, it is as big as my head, which is a big beer. 19.2 ounce can, and this is an American light lager, sitting at 4% alcohol. So they dialed things way back, switched things up on the recipe front, and I'm really excited to see kind of how the Eldorado hops shine in this particular beer. When you think of Eldorado hops, you're thinking typically a Hazy IPA or a West Coast IPA. They're a very versatile hop, dual purpose, can be used on the hot side and kind of give a lot of bitterness and a lot of kind of that upfront oils, but also be used in the dry hop and give a lot of fruity characteristics as well. So I'm assuming it was used early on pretty sparingly, because this style isn't going to be very bitter. But I'd say it's probably what we're going to be experiencing here from an Eldorado perspective is primarily on the dry hop side of things. So I'm really interested to see how that American light lager canvas allows Eldorado to shine in this instance. So without further ado, let's crack it open. That was a good one. That crack, it's like loud and exciting. Alrighty. So we have kind of what you expect an American light lager to be. Very pale straw yellow. The head dissipated instantly. So from a carbonation perspective, a head retention perspective, yeah, not exactly what I'd expect here, but you do have to think there might be enough, from the malt perspective, there might not be enough there to kind of keep that head going really, really strong. So let's see what's going on the nose. And you're getting kind of very faint whiffs of grassiness. There's definitely a little citrus there, kind of a little bit of like grapefruit peel. And there's some fruitiness on it too. That's almost like, it's a little stone fruity. Like I have this like big, huge, delicious white peach in the kitchen, and I just smelled it before I came in here. And it's got this like really, really nice fruity aroma that I'm kind of either subconsciously or actually consciously connecting into this beer. So really nice aroma. I'm going to give it a whirl. So carbonation is right where you want it to be. What you were seeing there was a pure head retention thing. It wasn't a carbonation thing. It's really, really nice and bright and bubbly. Light, crisp, clean, drinkable. All those kind of adjectives that you want to hear when drinking a hoppy lager. Yeah, this really allows the hops to shine. I mean, I haven't had hop water before. There's various brands of it out there, including one called Hop Water. But this kind of conjures up the idea of like hop water in my mind, because you're getting just like a very, very pale malt backbone on this with just a burst of hop flavor. You're not getting malt complexity. You're getting just like a pure hop experience. It's really, really neat. So from a flavor perspective, I'm getting a lot of tangerine on this. You're getting a little bit of that grapefruit peel as well, but tangerine for sure. And then more of that kind of white peach. Yeah, almost like kind of white gummy bear, a little strawberry action. The grassiness is coming throughout. And I kind of like to, when I get that kind of grassy strawberry thing, I almost think of like popping a full strawberry with the like green stem on it. So you're getting a little bit of that greenery as well. Really, really cool combination of flavors. Yeah, this is neat. If you like hoppy beers and you want something super drinkable, something pretty mellow, I kick things off with this because it's 4%. It's an American light lager. It's not gonna like do anything too crazy to my palate. So this one's great for kicking off a session. They got them in these monster cans here, so you can take back one or two of these no problem. Yeah, to kick off your drinking session, even to close one out. You know, honestly, if you've been drinking like a couple bigger beers, maybe a bit more of kind of robust IPAs, and you want to dial things back for your final one, this is actually a really good one to kind of like ease out of a session as well. A lot of people talk about like easing into a session, which is totally natural, but you know, once in a while I like to ease out of the session. You know, I don't want to end it on a big blast to the face. Sometimes I want to cruise out of it, and I think this beer is a really good matchup for that. Yeah, really nice. Really nice. This beer reminds me of the outdoors. I feel like being in the sunshine. This beer, like I want to be outdoors, like in a park, drinking this beer. This is just, and I guess like with the artwork to it, it's like, it feels like springtime, even though it was released just a few weeks ago. The artwork just kind of reminds me of like outdoorsy, springtime, sunshine, and the flavor of it and the whole experience of this beer kind of brings me there as well. So this is pretty neat. You know, the hoppy lager thing is, you know, it's becoming a bigger and bigger thing as Cold IPA, and we'll get to Cold IPA in just a second, but definitely like that kind of West Coast lager, West Coast Pilsner is happening right now. And, you know, I'll thank, you know, Timbo Pills at Highland Park for kind of leading the way here, at least locally. But this is kind of like a cool alternative to that because it's like dialed back from a malt body perspective. That just is like, yeah, maybe it sits like, I was talking about hop water earlier. maybe it sits somewhere between a hoppy pills and a hop water. Like this is right in between that hoppy American light lager. I'm kind of down for it. It's really neat. Good stuff. Really good. I could crush a whole can of it, but I won't. I'm going to move on to the next beer. And as always, if you're sipping on a beer, you're just joining me live, drop a comment. Let me know, what are you drinking right now? I'm curious. I want to know. I need to hear about those new beers, the new breweries, what's happening. Primarily, you know, what I'm drinking these days is either LA brewed, Ventura brewed, or Orange County brewed. I'm not drinking a ton of beer outside of this nearby region. So if you're drinking something from outside the area, please comment in. I want to know what's going on outside, just because I don't get to drink it that often. So as we do that, we're going to move into beer number 2. This is a cool one. It's a Cold IPA. It's called Vivid Cool. This is 3 Levers collaboration. So last one was a collaboration. This one is a collaboration as well with Trademark Brewing in Long Beach. So Cold IPA, you know, put aside whatever feelings you have about the style. Some people, it infuriates some people, it triggers some people couldn't care less, some people have no idea what the hell's going on. For me, I'm just here to drink good beer, so let's hope we'll be doing that here. Brews with Bridget, calling out Trademark. Trademark does great work. I think I don't live in Long Beach. I live a little further away, so I don't get their beers too often. But in my mind, they fly a little under the radar. They definitely brew in terms of quality right up there with the big guys. So in addition to this being a collaboration with Trademark, it is also a collaboration with Hophead Farms out of Michigan. So the hops featured in this Cold IPA are Cascade, Chinook, and Cashmere, all grown in Michigan. And so what are we looking at? 6.5%. I like here it says ABV 6.5, SRM 4, IBU, yes. I get it. I like it. I'm not a big IBU guy. They can be somewhat misleading depending on what you're looking for to get out of that metric. And so, from a consumer perspective at least. And so, yes, just say like, is it bitter or is it not? From a cold IPA, yes, you do want to have some of that hop bitterness shine through. I guess the quick primer, the Cold IPA for Dummies primer, is basically, this is a hoppy lager. I guess as part of the requirements for the style there needs to be some kind of adjunct of like corn or rice. And it's fermented with lager yeast, dry hopped like an IPA. So I think from a drinking experience standpoint, it's going to be very much in line with like what we're seeing with West Coast IPA, but kind of on the more like bone dry, crisp and clean side of things. I've been talking about this beer. Let's just see what's inside this can, which is beautifully designed, by the way. Really nice stuff. Simple, elegant, fun. Got the Three Weavers glassware, of course. It's not very often I have the branded matching glassware for my tasting, so when I do, I will call it out. All right, so we have a crystal clear, which is right on point, and you have like a nice mid-tone, like light straw yellow, not quite gold, and that aroma is interesting. I'm getting like this, oh wow, this is a lot of different things going on. So let me try and parse my way through it. So the first thing that comes to my mind, there's some like herbaceousness happening here. I don't know exactly like what herbs and spices are happening, but there's this kind of like herbal spicy thing happening on the nose. It's like grass. It's kind of like, it's piney, a little resiny. I almost want to go like tobacco-y. I don't know, that's kind of like a weird thing to say from an IPA perspective, but like that kind of spicy herbal thing, there's something there. It's interesting. No fruitiness, maybe a little bit of citrus peel, orange pith. but like I feel like with West Coast IPA and with Cold IPA, you can sometimes get like a big barrage of like tropical fruitiness, and that's not happening, at least on the nose. So what we're dealing with here is Cascade, Chinook, and Cashmere, where we're seeing Cascade and Chinook being very, primarily Northwest hop, primarily kind of like classic American and West Coast IPA. So yeah, you herbal, grassy, pine, spicy. Those are all kind of in line with those two hops. And Cashmere is going to bring more of that kind of like tropical stone fruity thing going on, which isn't really happening on the nose, which is just like, it's so dominated by the herbal spicy thing. And there might be kind of like a little kind of garlic thing going on. Little onion garlic. Okay. It's not turning me off. This is just like, I kind of appreciate this because there's so many beers that I experience from an aroma perspective that are just so over the top tropical fruit aromas, and this doesn't have it, so I'm kind of like down for a little change of pace. All right, let's give it a whirl. The taste really follows with the aromas, whether you like that or not. Definitely a different beer. Nice hit of bitterness, nothing over the top. But yeah, herbal, spicy, piney, resiny, like pine tree sap. And yeah, a little bit of kind of that onion garlic thing happening too. I'll be honest, it's not my favorite beer. Not terrible by any means, but I feel like I could use a little bit more, I don't know, like peach, a little bit of like, a little more citrus on this as well. Some fruitiness to kind of balance this out. This might be a little too far one way for me. But yeah, I think I could see a lot of people really digging this beer. So definitely don't, avoid it by, what I'm saying. Everyone's got their own palate, but yeah, this is not what I'm expecting, or not kind of what my palate's gravitating towards. I appreciate it though. I think from a cold IPA perspective, this is true to style. Yeah, it's what I expect from a cold IPA, and I dig that they did something different with this one. So yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna move on from it pretty quickly though. Just the faintest hint of like cherry on the back end, which what and why and how, I don't know. Not enough to get me to where I think it needs to be balance-wise from a kind of like fruity herbal thing going on. But that's Vivid Cool. It's a cold IPA, Three Weavers, collab with Trademark and Hophead Farms in Michigan. I don't have a ton of experience with Hophead Farms. I'm not tracking, the imports of Michigan-grown hops these days. So I'm not sure if this is something that's kind of part of that lineage. Does the terroir in Michigan lend itself to hop flavors that are more in line with what I'm experiencing? I don't know. I'm down to try more though. I really am. Very intrigued. Pellaman, gonna sip on some Santa Cruz pills from Humble Sea. Nice. I don't think I've had that one. I'm assuming because they have their more like German style, like Penelope pills, I think is German style. So I wonder if Santa Cruz Pilsner is like more of the hoppy pills, like West Coast pills variety. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Give me some pointers on what you got. Brews with Bridget. Definitely do a live with Everywhere Beer Co. Yeah, I'd love to do that. We're dropping a tasting video with their Hazy in the next couple days, I think. That was a cool beer. So yeah, definitely tried that one and did a video. But I haven't tried anything else from them. So I'd love to do a lineup. I know they've been pumping out cans since they've opened. I mean, talk about a brewery that's gone from like 0 to 100 in just like less than 2 months. I think they've canned, 4 or 5 different brands at this point, and just killing it right out the gate. It's really, really cool to see when, the traditional brewery business model was like such a slow ramp up. We're seeing these breweries that are, taking over turnkey spaces, coming in with a ton of experience and hitting the ground running hard. Not an easy task, and they make it look so easy. So yeah, I'd love to do a live with Everywhere. I'm going to move on to the next beer in the lineup. It had to happen. We're going hazy. This is Casual Sequins, another collaboration. So Three Weavers, and yeah, I mean, I think Three Weavers has collaborations in their blood. My first experience ever with Three Weavers was a collaboration. Before they even opened, they did a series of collaborations with different breweries before they even opened their own brewery. It kind of got them on the map, got them on the radar, and they've continued to keep really interesting and fun collaborations in their DNA over the years. That has, I felt like they have this phrase. I don't know if it's still printed on their cans. It might be on the core cans, but they've always kind of gone off this, here it is. It's more than beer, it's community. And there's a lot of ways that you can interpret that message. But I definitely feel like their approach to collaborations has embodied that, in that there's no bad blood. Like they've just kind of welcomed their friends in with open arms and invited us to come along with it. And it's just really cool to see. So I love the collaboration game, and when it's being done from a like, hey, this is just fun to be together, like let's do something interesting and learn from each other. I love that. When people come at it from a marketing perspective and it feels inauthentic, that's when you're like, come on, this collaboration thing's getting old. So I appreciate what Three Weavers does from a collaboration perspective. Let's get into this beer. Casual Sequins, collaboration with Hen House Brewing up in Santa Rosa. I believe they did this on both sides. So Hen House did a version and Three Weavers did a version. Pretty sure. I know that Hen House has done one at some point, whether it was at the same time or in previous years, or what, maybe they switch off. Didn't dig that deep. But this is a Hazy IPA. It is 6.3%. Which for me is right in my Hazy IPA sweet spot. Right at the top of this, we were talking Hazy Pale Ale. I'm a Hazy Pale Ale guy. I'm going to gravitate more towards something from a hazy perspective that's in that like 5 to 7 range. I'm less interested and excited about what's in the 7 to 10 range. Although there's been some great stuff, I don't want to write it off, but I don't know. I'm living that dad life. I'm drinking beer in my garage. Like, give me a beer that's like 6%, and I'm all right. This one's hopped with Comet, Cascade, and Simcoe, which if you're thinking Hazy IPA, what? Like, you don't see this combination of hops for a Hazy IPA too often. This is very much a West Coast IPA hop profile, so I'm already intrigued. I'm looking at this and I'm like, dude, Hazy IPA brewed with kind of more West Coast style hops. I'm into it because I feel like you're going to naturally draw a little bit of bitterness out of these hops. All three of these hops have higher on the alpha acid scale. So you are going to get naturally a little bit more bitterness out of it, which is really, really, really up my alley. I'm into it. I got some friends joining in, so I'm going to pause for a sec. We got Conrad in the house. We got Chew Your Beer. We got Pello Man. Got the homies all in here. Conrad drinking Small Citra from Other Half. Oh, you're recommending Small Citra from Other Half. I'm assuming or hoping that it was in that recent Other Half drop that just hit Los Angeles this past week. Not that I'm going out to the bottle shop to get much, but hopefully other people are into that. But Other Half did just drop some beers here. So check your better beer stores. Okay, let's dig into this beer. Collaboration with the Hen House. I don't know much about the story behind the name and the label. We have like shoes and a hoodie and casual sequins. Someone out here might know. I don't know. It's cool. I'm into it. Nice design. Catches your eye. Let's see what's inside the can. Conrad, you got a can in your hand. You do it, my brother. All right. We got the larger glass here, which I always appreciate. Always easier to draw out aromas. And we have a nice kind of like really translucent, really like pale haze on this. You know, it's not super thick and murky. You get a little bit of that kind of glow as the light's going through it. Might not be coming out on that end of things, but yeah, baby hazy, I'll call it. On the nose, like you're getting primarily citrus on this. Orange, grapefruit, lemon. I mean, like all citrus, really. Like fruit, peel, pith, the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, citrus all the way on the nose, for sure. I just picked up something which sometimes I've heard people say, man, like just drink the beer. Like, why are you digging into that nose? When I was doing these tastings a lot last year or the year before, man, I'd spend 5 minutes just sniffing the beer, and for good reason. Like, I was drinking this and I was like, okay, it's straight citrus. Like, let's get on with it. And then I just swirled it a little bit, brought it back up, and now there's like this interesting sweetness that's coming through. That's kind of reminding me almost like, vanilla, like creamsicle type of thing. So like that citrus was there, and I was getting primarily the bright acidic side, the bitter side of it. And I was like, okay, cool. But then now this like slight vanilla thing happening, slight sweetness. And now I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, I don't know. I'm going to take a sip of this, and my expectations have changed a little bit. So let's give it a whirl. Again, follows through with the aromas very, very well. Really nice. I'm trying to reconcile the expectations I had in my head, which was like, oh, this is going to be kind of a more like almost hybrid hazy. Like, it was going to be a little bit more bitter. It was going to be a lot less of that kind of fruity character. But as I'm digging into it, it's hitting that hazy pale ale kind of side of things, even though technically this is a hazy IPA. It's hitting that kind of like really like delicate hazy fruit medley in a way that I'm really, really digging. Yeah, on the nose I was like getting primarily citrus, and don't get me wrong, on the flavor it's all there, like tons of bright citrus. But that like vanilla creamsicle thing is there. It's dancing in the background. It is not primarily dominant in this beer. It's pretty dry and it's pretty well restrained, but like there is this like really nice citrus thing hiding in the back that keeps this thing from kind of being like just a full kind of dry backbone. It gives it that perception of creaminess that it isn't actually there in the mouthfeel. It's not a creamy beer whatsoever. But from a flavor perspective, it's kind of like it's fucking with your head a little bit and making you feel like it's there, which is what I kind of like in a hazy pale ale, because it has to be so small that like you can't get that like big over the top like creamy thing that like you see in a lot of like hazy doubles and triples. So it's kind of like a masterful trick in a way that to make you feel like you're getting what you are looking for out of a hazy in like a smaller package. and we were talking about Radiant's Hazy Pales at the top of this. This reminds me very much of what Radiant's doing in that respect, which is a very good thing. Jake, this is Casual Sequins, collaboration from Three Weavers in Inglewood and Henhouse Brewing in Santa Rosa. And I think on the flavor perspective, I kind of went off on a tangent. So in addition to that citrus vanilla thing, there's a really nice melon and a slight, and I'm talking slight hit of pineapple. So we're not going over the top tropical there, but we do have a fruitiness that bounces against that kind of big wave of citrus in a way that I am 100% here for. It's what you need in this beer. It's what makes this beer. It's really, really good. Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting this one to be the beer I liked least out of the bunch, and so far it's the beer I like most. So, I don't know. And saying that the Hazy from Three Weavers is the one I like the most is interesting. Not to knock on Three Weavers Hazies, but just to, acknowledge the fact that this is a brewery that, avoided the haze craze for a longer period of time from a kind of brewing philosophy ethos standpoint. Like, hey, this is what we think beer is and should be, and it's not that. And, for better or for worse, like, there was a lot of people like that, and the industry changes and styles change or whatever. Like, I don't fault them for that, but they were primarily like, we're a West Coast IPA, this is what we do. And when you see those breweries like do a hazy, you kind of like, you're like, okay, it's going to be fine. It's for the people that come into the tap room that need a hazy. And it's going to be serviceable, but it's not going to be like the most amazing thing ever. And, Three Weavers has a flagship hazy. It's been a long time since I've had it, but it was kind of that in the very beginning. And since then, they've done a number of hazy IPAs over the years, and I feel like they've really figured out what they do. Three Weavers, Hazy IPA, I'm into it. Like, this is super cool. Love it. All right, we're going to move on to the final beer, the tasting final. I kind of have a bonus beer up my sleeve, so this will be the technical final, but there may be, if you hang on till the end, there may be one special bonus beer. When they sent along the box, there was an unlabeled blank can, a few of them, and I don't know what's in it, and we might find out on this live stream together. So let's see. Thanks, Chew Your Beer. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully we get a chance to run into each other again one of these days. Conrad, love a good Knotty. I was about to crack this open. What am I thinking? Let me stop for a second and say, Knotty. It's Knotty. This is one of their flagship beers, West Coast Double IPA, 8.6%. I got some notes up here. West Coast Double IPA, hopped with Mosaic, Simcoe, Chinook, and Ekuanot. These guys, Three Weavers, were early on the Ekuanot train, and this was one of their early beers that they, experimented with that hop with. I remember this coming out 2014. They had Expat, if you're not familiar, Expatriate, their single IPA, West Coast IPA that you can basically find anywhere. And then they were like, we need to do a double, and Knotty was their attempt at that, and they hit a home run very early on, and it quickly rose into their kind of core lineup and has stayed there ever since. From a West Coast Double IPA perspective, in a 12-ounce can format, it doesn't get much better. I mean, it really doesn't. You find it at Ralph's, you find it in a lot of different stores, and most of the time, from what I've seen, like, it's going to be pretty fresh. I'd look at the date code on the bottom. If it's more than 6 months old, I ain't touching it, but ideally you're in that 3-month-old mark. This can in particular, we're talking I can't even read it on this one, but I read it on another one, and it was brewed sometime in August, at the end of August. So we're talking a few weeks old here. It's been a while since I've had a fresh Knotty, and we're about to experience this together live on this stream. So without further ado, let's crack open Knotty Double IPA from Three Weavers Brewing Company. All right. And I'll just kind of remark at the appearance on this beer. Really, really nice, kind of slightly dark gold. Got a little color on it. Okay. It's attacking my nostrils. You know, the aromas are just blasting out of this glass. Wow. Tropical fruit salad, a lot of grass. You know this beer is gonna have a bitter bite to it, and I love when you can get a little preview on the aroma of like how bitter this beer is gonna be. You just know. You just know. If you drink beer, you just know. Yeah, old school colors on this. So this one's brewed primarily with 2-row. It's got a touch of rye in it, which I think is the secret ingredient. I always felt like the rye on this gave it just like this little touch of spice, this like slight complexity that made this beer what it is. Also gives it a really nice kind of head retention. And then it's got like a touch of caramel as well. So that's what gives you that like darker appearance on that. But it's still pretty light. I'm not going to go into SRMs on this, but yeah, pretty nice color. And oh, you're saying piney. I thought you said we're saying Pliny, and I was like, this is very much in line with what you see like Pliny looking like. Yeah, great nose. You're getting grapefruit. You're getting just like fresh mowed grass. Lemon. There's a really nice, almost like cedar. Like there's a spiciness to it. Javi, salud, brother. Good to see you. And there's this sweetness coming in that I'm trying to like pinpoint here. It's a little strawberry. Yeah, that's probably where I'm gonna kind of end on that, is like a strawberry with like pine cedar with like some nice citrus, some grapefruit, some orange, some lemon. Really cool stuff. Love that nose, man. If you are into the like West Coast IPA thing, not that new school tropical, like super lean malt type of West Coast IPA, which is like kind of where we are in modern West Coast IPA. This is like a lot more classic, a lot what we're seeing from like 10 years ago. Really, really cool. Okay, I'm gonna give it a whirl. I'm like super excited about it too. Wonderful. Okay, so if you're not into bitter IPA, you're going to toss this one out immediately. It's got a significant hit of bitterness, as it should. And the piney resin, slightly dank component on it, it's wonderful. It's fucking magical. Really good stuff. I mean, if you like dank, kind of more classic West Coast IPAs in the kind of Pliny the Elder family, this is right up there. You know what would be interesting is a side-by-side. I saw Pliny earlier today. I should have got it. This probably would beat it, to be honest. And as I'm talking, I'm getting the heat now. So that 8.6% is now, I'm feeling it. It's got that little burn that's coming back up, that little fire-breathing dragon thing. Yeah, this is a really, really well-balanced beer. Well-balanced in terms of, hey, this is going to be bitter as fuck and, like, intense as hell. But once you've gotten over that and you're expecting that, you're like, shit, man, this is really well-balanced because you're getting a lot of that, like, piney, dank, resiny thing happening. You're also getting, like, a really, really nice citrus, a touch of, like, fruity component too, which I'll say is like a overripe orange, which is a where it's like a little bit more jammy, and then you're getting just that alcoholic heat, which this beer needs. At 8.6% with everything going on, you need that kind of structure with that kind of alcohol side of things in order to make this beer work. We talk about beers that are more, we'll call them dangerously drinkable, that, are in that 8% and up range, that drink like this, that don't have the heat. And don't get me wrong, I like those beers too. But I also do appreciate when there is that touch of heat, not as you're drinking it. When you're getting the alcohol, like as you're drinking it, that's not cool. Come on, who wants that, right? Unless you're already fucked up. But if you get it slightly more subtly after you've had a couple sips and you're like, oh, I'm getting that kind of like alcoholic burn, that's something that really helps balance out kind of like every sip. So I really, really like what's going on here. Wow. Just gonna say wow. Do that one. Pliny Double Gator side by side. Okay, yeah. I haven't had Double Gator. I might have had it in the past. I don't even know. They haven't been doing it for that long, I don't think. Maybe a couple years. But I don't know if I've ever had it. But yeah, this is awesome. Really, really good stuff. Knotty from Three Weavers. There you go. And so for anyone that has hung along and has waited patiently for the bonus beer, it is now time for the bonus beer. I didn't bring an extra glass, so I'm gonna just kind of dump out the American Light Hoppy Lager and just hope that it's clean enough. Okay, so here we go. No label, no idea what's in. All we have is what's printed on the bottom. Canned August 22nd, 2022, so a few weeks old at this point in time. And it says Hippity Hop. So, knowing Three Weavers, knowing what hoppy beers they put into 12-ounce cans, I have a feeling I know what this beer is. I have a feeling I should have had it before Knotty. But that's besides the point. I'm going to try and clear my palate here. And we're going to crack this open and see what's inside. So I'm taking that glass that I just used already, and I'm just going to rinse it with the beer. Get rid of all the remnants of that last beer. And then I'm going to pour that out. Okay. Now, let's do this. So I mentioned a beer while talking about Knotty. That is another one of Three Weavers' flagship beers, hoppy beers. They're single IPA, Expatriate. And I was thinking this is it, but now I'm like on the nose, like, is it? I don't know. Okay, give me a sec on this one, because it is like super cold. I should have left it out a little. But the aromas are not popping out of the glass the way that I was hoping they would. And Knotty is just so over the top that my sensory might be a little off balance. Reset, smell the skin, and then go back in. So I'm definitely getting citrus on this. This is definitely a little, it's more subtle than Knotty. So I'm like reaching for it at this point. orange. I'm getting like like Smarties, like that kind of like faint fruitiness that you get when you smell like the outside of a pack, like through the wrapper. So there's like a little like fruity sweetness that's kind of like a smear. Like you don't know like what fruit you're smelling, but it's just like it's general fruit sweetness. It's kind of what I'm getting, almost like a Skittles thing happening here too. It's interesting. I'm not going to dig too deep into it. Let's see what's up with the taste. It's really, really fucking good. Damn. Knotty really, really threw my palate off. You know, like when you drink a big double IPA and then you go back to like a pale ale or an IPA and it's like, oh, is this water? Like, what am I drinking here now? That's what's happening, honestly. I'm pretty sure that I'm drinking Expatriate. And we'll just look at it from a color perspective. This is what you want a West Coast IPA to look like. This is just everything you want it to be. I need lighting behind here because I'm like looking at it through the light and it looks so much more vibrant on this end of things. But yeah, classic West Coast IPA. There's a really nice bitterness on this beer. Citrus, pine, for sure. It's like pine forest, orange. And yeah, a little bit of that like fruity kind of Skittles thing happening. It's awesome. It's awesome. West Coast IPA. I'm going to go ahead and call this Expatriate because it's got to be. It's so good. This is a beer I've had many, many times over the years, but haven't had it much in the last like 3. So it's like flooding me back with memories. And the cool thing about this beer is that honestly, it's not that fun to dissect because it's so well balanced. So when you're drinking it, you're kind of just like, oh wait, I feel this little bit of bitterness. Oh wait, it kind of got balanced out. Oh wait, I got this like big hit of like pine forest. Oh wait, it got balanced out. Like it's so well balanced that you almost like, it doesn't bring you in one direction over the other. So from a West Coast IPA lover like myself, it's just everything you want. If you're watching this and you like West Coast IPA and you haven't had this beer, I would definitely put this on the list of something to try. Fresh Expatriate, fresh Knotty. Doesn't get much better. It's really, really good. Conrad knows. Another classic. Super glad they threw this one in there. I had a feeling it was expat, but you know, you never know. Once you crack open the can, they do some really cool beers. So the other hoppy beer they do in 12-ounce format is Day Job, which is their pale ale. This is definitely not Day Job, so I know that for sure. Yeah, really good stuff. All right, we're going to wrap it up. So to close things out, we tasted Aldorado, Hoppy, American Light Lager, Vivid Cool, Cold IPA collab with Trademark. We had Casual Sequins collab, Hazy IPA collab with Henhouse. Close it out with Knotty, the flagship West Coast double IPA. And the mystery beer, which I'm calling Expatriate West Coast IPA. So good. Three Weavers maintains their reputation for just killing the hoppy beers. Their collaborations with hop farms and the relationships that they develop directly with the growers themselves is testament to their love and respect and appreciation for the product itself. You know, it's in their logo, right? It's the hop knot. You know, it's hoppiness is kind of woven in with Three Weavers. It was part of the early days when I first fell in love with them, and it continues to this day. And I'm so excited to see it Big ups to all my buddies that are still over at Three Weavers, and thank you so much for sending these beers over. This is a fantastic tasting. If you haven't had Three Weavers in a while, now is your reminder to check them out again because they are so damn good. That's it for this tasting. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And like I say every time, like, let's do this more often. Yeah, let's do it more often. Have a good weekend. Peace.